There was a man who never did anything wrong. He never failed, never embarrassed himself, never took a risk. But at 32 years old, he realized something terrifying. He had never truly lived either. His name was Daniel. Every morning he woke up at 6 a.m., made tea, sat by the window, and thought. He thought about starting a business, but what if it fails? He thought about talking to that girl he liked, but what if she says no? He thought about changing his job, but what if the new one is worse? His mind was a prison, and he was the guard who locked himself inside. People saw him as careful, smart, responsible, but inside, Daniel felt like a ghost, watching life happen to everyone else. His friends got married, started companies, traveled the world, and Daniel, he just kept thinking. One more day, one more plan, one more perfect moment that never came. One evening, his younger cousin visited him. The cousin was 24, broke, just quit his job, starting something new. Daniel asked him, "Aren't you scared?" The cousin laughed. "Scared? Of course, but I'm more scared of being 40 and regretting I never tried." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He opened his journal, pages and pages of plans, ideas, dreams, all perfect, all detailed, all unfinished. He had spent 10 years preparing for a life he never started. The next morning, something broke inside him. He looked at himself in the mirror and asked a question he had avoided for years. What if I die tomorrow? And suddenly all his plans felt meaningless because he realized something painful. He wasn't protecting himself by overthinking. He was destroying himself. Every thought was a delay. Every plan was an excuse. Every fear was a lie he told himself to stay comfortable. That same day, Daniel went for a walk. He ended up at a small park. There was an old man feeding pigeons. Daniel sat on the bench next to him. The old man noticed Daniel's face, heavy, tired. He asked, "You think too much, don't you?" Daniel looked at him surprised. "How do you know?" The old man smiled. "I can see it. You have the eyes of someone who lives inside their head, not in the world." Daniel didn't know what to say. The old man continued, "Let me tell you something. Thinking is not living. Thinking is rehearsing, and you can't rehearse forever." He pointed at the pigeons. "See them? They don't think. They just fly. They don't ask if the sky is safe. They just go." Daniel said quietly, "But I'm not a bird. I can fail. I can get hurt." The old man nodded. "Yes, you can, and that's what makes it worth doing." He stood up to leave, then he turned back and said something that changed Daniel's life forever. "Son, one day of real living is worth more than a lifetime of perfect thinking." Daniel sat there for a long time, and then, for the first time in years, he stopped thinking. He stood up, walked to his car, and drove. No plan, no destination, just movement. He stopped at a cafe he had always wanted to visit but never did. Too crowded, too expensive, too risky. He ordered coffee, smiled at the waiter, started a conversation. The next day, he messaged the girl he liked. No perfect words, just honest ones. "I've been too scared to say this, but I think you're amazing. Would you like to have coffee sometime?" She replied in 5 minutes. "I thought you'd never ask." The day after that, he applied for a job he thought he wasn't ready for. And slowly, something changed. Not in the world, but in him. He stopped asking, "What if it goes wrong?" He started asking, "What if it goes right?" He stopped trying to control everything. He started trusting himself to handle anything. And for the first time, he felt free. Not because life became easier, but because he stopped making it harder. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Overthinking feels like protection, but it's actually self-destruction. Every time you overthink, you're choosing fear over faith, delay over action, safety over growth. You think you're being smart, but you're just being stuck. The man who thinks too much doesn't avoid failure. He avoids life. And the saddest part? You don't need permission to start. You don't need the perfect moment. You don't need all the answers. You just need to stop thinking and start moving. Because life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It waits for you to begin. Daniel learned this at 32, but you can learn it today. 6 months later, Daniel was not a different person. He still felt fear, still had doubts, still made mistakes, but now he lived with them, not in spite of them. He didn't have all the answers, but he had something better: movement, growth, life. And when people asked him what changed, he would smile and say, "I stopped waiting for the perfect moment, and I realized every moment is the perfect moment if you choose to live it." So, ask yourself today, are you living or are you just thinking about it? If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe for more stories that awaken the warrior inside you.